Opportunities for evangelism come in many different forms, some expected and very easy to find, and others in interesting ways. Recently, I attended my first meeting at my new appointment that will begin in July. I received the normal questions that you always receive, such as, what is your schedule? What do you think are your gifts and graces? Tell me your call story. Those kinds of questions. However, at the end of the dialogue of your typical questions, out of the blue, I was asked by one member of the staff pastor parish relations committee if my husband played piano. Well, from the perspective of a feminist, that was kind of a little bit shocking to me, but also not so much. But I didn't take it that way. I started thinking about what that meant regarding the needs of this particular appointment. What is it that they struggle with in their identity, and how do they reach out to their community? So in the awareness of the deficiency of a proper musician in order to enliven their worship, they perceive that they are missing out on something for themselves and also on what they can present to their community. So I had an opportunity in the next week after that to really reflect on that as it's approached from an evangelism point of view. One of the things that I looked at was from the book Evangelism for Non-Evangelists. And in the section that was about saving ourselves, there are 3 points to think about regarding this issue. They are claiming the mantle of evangelist, catechesis in local churches and seminaries, and sparking meaningful conversation for church leaders, and of course, discovering new role models. Now, I believe that the way this is presented, there seems to be a level of either process, or it could even be considered that one fills the other one, and the interrelatedness of these 4 elements create the full opportunity for evangelism to be used. How does that translate to this particular situation about the deficiency of a pianist? Well, first of all, it seems that instead of looking inward, it might be more appropriate to look at the outward work. And in helping churches to claim the mantle of evangelist, how does that look in a small community? Well, this community that I am referring to, where I will be serving, is a small city. And it is filled with many different places and opportunities for tourism, but also there's a community college and there's several high schools in this area. So not too far away from the church, the main church, there is a community college that offers a music program and has several people teaching piano lessons at that place. And the inquiry of the church member at that point was to ask her and challenge her to think about what it means to ask for this in a different setting and with a different opportunity. So they have never, ever asked the community college if they could post a sign to invite someone to come and play the piano there. So that is the first role, is to think about how is it that I can claim that mantle. In bringing someone in from the outside, whether they are familiar with the church or not, there's the proper opportunity for catechesis in this local church. What does it mean to sing and to provide a joyful noise for the Lord? And how does that work? And how do we draw people in? It sparks meaningful conversation among your leaders as well. When you think about the opportunity of how one person can know another person, hey, I know this person is playing the piano or learning and taking lessons. And when you bring these people in, potentially young people could potentially grow in that role and possibly even bring someone else with them in order to be a part of the church body. In that engagement, further dialogue goes towards leadership, claiming the authority to choose music and to play the music well in order to offer something wonderful in worship to God. This is a beautiful opportunity that does not stay in the church. The final thing is discovering new role models. When we invite people from different experiences into the church, we are able not only to witness to them, but they become a place for us to witness as well. They provide this greater opportunity to see the gifts that God gives and how they can be used You don't just stick with your church information. You go beyond that and you think about what it means to live in the world that needs Jesus Christ so much. And how do you take your evangelism out into a different setting that isn't sacred? And how do you share that? So in all of these things, this is an opportunity that turns from looking at a couple where the clergy spouse becomes the pianist to thinking about how to access your resources within your community. In all of these things, we see a culmination of what it means to be an evangelist in a different and very unique kind of way, rather than perceiving that it's just about the church and church leadership and growth. We have an opportunity to grow it beyond that by seeking out opportunity to be in community with one another. The primary source for my bibliography is Evangelism for Non-Evangelists, written by Dr. Mark Teasdale, and the section that I have shared with you, it can be found on pages 113 through 117.